live. Good morning, YouTube. We're actually having a cloudy, cool morning with what looks to try to be rain showers, but it's just not happening. There might be one over there, but that's all good. But that's not why we're here. Um, we'll get started here in a minute. I'm going to let this warm up. Uh, I wanted to get this just out there on the topic of the day, because we all know what the topic of the day is, right? It's June, what is it today? Today, June 14th? Or July. Dang. July 14th, 2024. We all know what the topic of the day is. So what happened and why did it happen and how did it happen? Um, and I put some options below in the description box. Basically, restrictive bureaucracy, ROEs, which would baffle the mind at the way it happened, and gross incompetence, or you're in on it. There's really not many other options. It doesn't make nothing. Has no bearing makes any sense. How an individual was allowed to get that close, that armed. Like even if you're in a suburb, go up. If you're in a suburb, climb up on your roof and look around and see how bright and just obvious it is for anything of within 200 yards. Um, from my property to my fence line is 200 yards. Like, and I can see people walking on the street clearly, see what they're wearing, carrying. Like, there's no questioning. Looking through a high-powered scope of 8 power or greater, you would be crystal clear as what you're looking at. I'm seeing some people say, well, they weren't sure and they had to verify and they had to confirm. And it's like, your confirmation is with your bare eye. You use your scope to just dial in. Like, you could practically read the guy's serial number with that range, and tell what brand his optic was, and everything else, all the attachments and all the details of the what weapon he had at that range. Like, that can't be the problem, can it? Is it was the ROE so restrictive that you weren't allowed to? In no way does that make sense either. It's not like this is a guy moving through the crowd, making funny movements, and then all of a sudden, produces a weapon. No, the guy's moving across an open, highly visible. Again, go on your rooftop at your house and look at neighbor houses and to see how blatantly obvious it would be, especially a white metal roof. Like, most of your shingled roofs are dark colors. This guy's moving across a bright metal background. It would be so blatantly obvious. So, let's don't forget one of the highest trained security agencies in the world. Just think about that for a second. This isn't like Joe Schmo, your local PD, just average guy who may have had some good training, has put up a few rounds every year that to be accurate and stuff. Like, no, this is highly trained not only in engagement but in observation. Highly trained in observation is 90% of the battle. As soon as you observe something like that, what do you do on the radio? Get the guy off the stage. That didn't even happen. Like, why, as soon as you see a threat weapon at that range, are you not calling whatever the call sign, whatever the code word is, get the guy off the stage? That didn't happen. It's bizarre. If anybody has any... So did your bureaucracy limit these people to where they couldn't do this? That doesn't make any sense. If you've ever... obviously there's restrictions because of the venue. You're limited. You're given what you have, right? So you go in, you plan your local, your intermediate perimeter, right around your subject, right around where he's going to be presented and walking. That's your immediate bubble that the prime protectors are most engaged in. That's what they're most worried about. They assign the outer perimeter, the outer cordon, to the locals primarily, right? So did the local PD sheriff drop the ball so bad that they didn't even consider covering or even being in that area. Um, there's the there is the video of the guy saying, "There's a guy on the roof. There's a guy on the roof," and they were saying this for a few minutes apparently to the local PD there. Um, were they just so out of touch that they just let it happen? Like, that's gross incompetence. Is gross incompetence in play here? Wow, that's severely gross. Like, the best way to prevent anything from happening from that area is to put one guy on top of the roof. He could observe all the other local roofs, and because there's a building complex right there in that area, all within easy target range. Like, you provide dominant observation, right? So if the guys providing the closest overwatch that initially took the shot knew that there's no, supposed to be nobody on those roofs, why wouldn't they just take him out right away? If they were told that somebody's supposed to be on that roof, but there was nobody, that's where a conflict can come in based upon communication, right? And there could be communication failures with, "Hey, I thought your guy was on this roof. Is this your guy on the roof?" Well, no, that's not our guy on the roof. Like, then you could have that back and forth. That's incompetence as well. Because there should have been somebody up there. And if they weren't, then that's going to get everybody's head spinning. So could you have a lackadaisical attitude in a deep red county where people aren't worried, thinking they don't have to worry about such a thing? I don't know. Well, you know things are amped up. Everybody knows things are amped up, right? So why would you take it so a laissez-faire attitude to the security of this event that you're just like, it's no big deal. We're in my county. We got it installed. Nobody's going to try this. Oh, really? Like, you didn't even try to establish a perimeter out to, a sweep, and apparently deny a guy using a ladder, moving across some open terrain and parking somewhere in open terrain, carrying a rifle, and moving with a ladder at some point to get to the back of the building. Like, there was nobody that observed that, apparently. Like, it's bizarre failure. So is this all on the local PD? I don't know. Isn't that kind of the implication of Dallas, Fort Worth with JFK? Was that an implication that was local PD's fault? Um, I don't know. It's easier to pay off the local PD, I guess. Like, where are the bodies buried? Somebody posted the meme of, I know where the bodies and the shovels buried. No, wait, still got the shovel. Just bizarre. People trying to, a lot of people trying to let it just slide that this was just a single event, and it is what it is, and you couldn't have stopped it. Like, oh no, anybody with half a brain, that would have been the first place that would have been secured and denied anybody getting on that roof, right? That's just the bottom line. Who all got checking ears? Chipper, what's up? Good morning. Adventure Sky to the Galaxy. Cindy, Dad on YouTube, what's up? Reserving comment on all but one point. Carry a big lighter and a gun. Well, I mean, anything's possible. Maybe he dragged it. He didn't carry it. Maybe he dragged the ladder. How much noise was that making? It's just, again, should be denied terrain, right? That whole building complex should have been denied with a patrol of some sort and somebody up and down on that roof at some point with the communication to the secret service guys saying, our guy is on this roof, right? Apparently that didn't happen. Were the Secret Service guys confused because they thought their guy was going to be on that roof and he wasn't? Massive failure, right? And then again, at that range, what you see. You see a guy in shorts, t-shirt, and a rifle. Like, that's not your local PD guy. At that point, he points that weapon toward your subject. You take him out. Like, our ROEs has the bureaucracy shackled the Secret Service so hard that they're not allowed to take that shot. Like shut up. That would be disturbing, wouldn't it? Like as soon as you see a bad guy with a gun, you take him out. That's the rules for these guys. Like again, high value subjects, high protective, high end protection details, right? That's the rules. You would think. I mean, I know your local PD is not going to have that rule, but when you got nobody asked you. Hey, what's up, Tony? You didn't miss anything. You missed. Again, you have to go to the thought of either they're that ignorant of what they need to be doing or they're in on it. And the thing is, if you're setting something like this up, oh, hold on here. Let's see here. And that's his opinion. Oh my goodness, why are you coming closer? If you're setting this thing, so to get to the next point, I guess, if you're setting this up, do you get the same result whether you are successful or not? The patsy you set up for this, whether he's ultimately successful, this is my big concern. My big concern, you're getting more police state either way. People are going to line up to implement police state measures regardless if this had been successful or not, right? Because again, you're so close. Like, our police need more forces, they need more this, they need more that, like, they need more funding. Like, this is a classic example of problem, reaction, solution as well. So are there calls for more money or gun control, right? Just more bureaucratic nightmare. That's the question. Because that seems to be the ultimate outcome, is just more the big police state. Right? Adventurous Guide? Yeah, it should have been shut off, right? Nobody should have been in there or near that. Apparently, what did I do to you guys? So I guess the chorus is going to join me this morning. Hey, Alicia, good morning. We're going to have to just cut this short. Really? So you all enjoying the parade? So ultimately, you got to ask yourself, how compromised are these agencies? Or are they incompetent? Or are they just hamstrung by bureaucracy? That's really the only options. And then what's the excuses they're going to make? And what are they going to try to get out of this? And if the call is for more money or restrictions on the people, that was probably the goal to begin with. So that's my big thought on that. Hey, what's up, Poison Stinger? 2024 is at the cyclic rate, right? Like we're not even trying to hide the craziness of 2024, right? The birds are part of the live stream. It's official. So if your most highly trained security agency in the country makes this big of a failure, yeah, you really got to question. And there's always, well, there's this thought too. Because security, they're going to brief this on what the security threat is, and did Trump tell them, I don't care about this threat, potential. I'm going up there and I'm going to speak. And has he told them before, like, don't you ever pull me off the stage unless I'm actually being shot at? I mean that's a possibility because they have that type of sway like of what they want their rules, right? Um, so as he told him in the past, like, don't you ever pull me off stage until like yeah, I'm actually being hit or whatever. Uh, that's a remote possibility, I guess you'd say. Um, but you would, I mean, just the Secret Service has to be so hamstrung to allow this to happen the way it did, uh, and completely lost communication with any locals assigned. That's so close, though. You would think that the Secret Service would put that in their ring of sphere of influence, and they would have a person on the ground at that. 'Cause again, go on your rooftop and look around and see how far 150 meters is. It's not far. It is so close. It is really close. And if it's pick a house 150 meters away from yours, if you're in like a subdivision, and imagine all the other houses in between you and it are gone, and it's just an open field with some people in it, sporadic events, like, and there's just one rooftop that's empty, and if somebody appears on it, like, it would be blatantly obvious to anybody who's done any observation. As Corsair Trainer said, yeah, just had Corsair Trainer had a short out that came out like fortuitously yesterday, and just about general observation. You just kind of keep your head looking around, what's going on, and you're observant of what's going on, and it would be, oh, there's just somebody on the roof. It would be just like blatantly like in your face, like, oh, look. if if the movement doesn't catch your eye, the contrast to the background of the metal, white, bright, light colored metal roof would catch your eye. Like, there's so many things that would be draw your attention to that location. um, it's just, I mean, they have this big event that they do out in down in Gardnerville, uh, the Basque Fry or whatever they call it, and Trump was there a couple years ago. Summer heat. Um, they had people lined up for hours having to go through security, through Secret Service security. They screen everybody. It's an open air event similar to what this was, but it's bigger, um, from my understanding. But it's similar setup. You got the stage behind. It's all outdoors. It's very similar to this layout, but without the building nearby, right? That I'm not aware of a building nearby. I'd have to look at that. I wonder if, yeah, so the ranch they do this on down in Gardnerville, Trump was there a couple years ago, and just people were there for hours ahead of time going through screening. You would imagine the same thing happened here. So your immediate people have all been screened. So yeah, you still scan the crowd, especially the agents on the ground that are looking forward to the stage. But your people on the rooftop are looking deep. That's why you have the scopes, right? Like, that is your, there's this building with a rooftop. It makes your head hurt when you think about how many failures there are, and yep, who really was it, right? It's just baffles the mind. So how compromised are your agencies, and how compromised is local PD? Or is the local PD just Barney Fife, and they're like, we're in a deep red county, this isn't going to happen, we're not going to do any, we're just going to fail. Ultimate, like, big failure. Didn't even have a guy like ready to respond or anything. Hey, what's up, V Borg? How you doing today? Yeah, Tony. There's a guy dead on a roof. I guess that's who's taking the blame, right? Dead people tell no tales. Um, but obviously, there were still fatalities in this, which is a tragic event. But still, you were when you look at when the shot occurred and when the head turned, like, we're literally like an inch and a half from things being a lot different, and really the problem escalating even greater. You get a fatality in this event, and you got even more questions, right? Yes, I mean, you don't know who the blame lies on, I guess you'd say, Cindy. But ultimately, it's a massive failure. Uh, However they did the security, however they evaluated it, however they secured the perimeter and the outer cordon, and however they decided they were going to go about that, there was a failure. Were they supposed to be communicating with the locals who are supposed to have that area? Maybe that's the failure. But there's a failure somewhere. I'm not even going to say who because I don't know, but that's a massive failure, and it's a just gross negligence, or you're in on it, which is more. It's even more concerning, right? So we got the good morning crowd. Good to see y'all. Um, Going to have to roll out here. I just want to get this on out there because anybody that's trying to say, which there's been a few people like, oh, the good job, they took him out. Like, oh no, it should have never got to that point. You don't let somebody like that get to shots fired. It's not like he all of a sudden pulled a gun out in the crowd and got a few shots off. Oh no, he was able to lay down, get eyes on, get steady, stop, breathe, you know, hold, get his hold, and then shoot. Like it's, and again, these are the most highly trained guys that you can think of. Again, what was their restrictions? Was it the bureaucracy? Were they? I can't even imagine an ROE that requires them to call this in. That baffles me as well. Like that, this is a shoot on sight scenario. This is not a hey, I see this. This isn't like Iraq 2007 where you got to call everything in like you're guarding a presidential candidate. Then there should be none of this. There shouldn't be somebody pointing a weapon at you. I mean, even in Iraq, somebody points a weapon at you or your team or your group, boom, it's automatic. You don't have to wait for them to shoot. Oh man, it just hurts the head. Hey, what's up, Wayne? How you doing? Yeah, Wayne. Yeah, that's and I was kind of talked through that. Like, was there a communication failure with a local, and is that what the holdup was? But again, you see a guy in shorts who's obviously out of uniform, who's pointing a weapon at you. Like, even if it is a local guy, you can't let the guy get shots off. Like you're failing at that point, right? I mean, right? I mean, yeah, you don't want to be that guy that mistakes it, but once he lays down and it is in that shooting position, like it's past time to be indecisive. And again, these guys are trained to be decisive, unemotional, and understand the criteria of oh well, you made the choice to end your life today. Like here we go. Like that's the kind of guys that have those jobs. They're not they're not minimally trained, barely getting by, marksmen. These are guys that are at the top end of the game. You don't get this job without stringent mental criteria to be able to mentally get through the thought process quickly and know when the trigger has to be pulled, right? Um, but if, like Stinger said, if is this a diversity hire issue? um, which looking at the video, like this looks like some guy that probably is very high end, and that's not the issue. It's not a matter of who's hired. It's a matter of there's a training or communication gap here. Yeah. So lots of issues abound. Loss of faith and trust in institutions. And again, I'll just end on the note here and I'll check out because we got to go to the good house today. And are the calls going to be for additional money for police state activities or for restrictions on your freedom? That's the big concern. Everything else is all gravy. People that messed up should pay accordingly. People that failed to do their jobs, whether it was local or not, that should be held accountable at some point, because that is extremely danger close. But y'all be good. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for talking. Yeah, I saw the diversity hire from PepsiCo, right? PepsiCo has their hiring. That's bizarre. That you run PepsiCo security, all of a sudden you're Secret Service. Like the two different types of jobs that don't make sense. Like, yeah, PepsiCo has security. You know, food security is a thing, but it's like the level of need of the Secret Service is much higher than, you know, corporate infrastructure. So I'll leave it at that. I hope nobody's giving people a pass on this. Far too many questions that'll never be answered. I don't think we can ever expect that they will be answered, but do not allow them to infringe on your liberties further or to encourage police state activities based upon this. Um, so I'll leave it at that. Prep hard, live free.